Well, I want to introduce you all to my very good friend, Darren Paulson, who's on the screen with me today. Darren and I met for the first time in 1985 when I was a camper at Christikon Lutheran Bible Camp in South Central Montana. And Darren, I think you were at Concordia that summer, or between years at Concordia. Is that right?
I was about to start college here in Billings before transferring to Concordia.
Right on. So Darren grew up in Billings and is from Billings, Montana, and that's exactly where he is today after some circuitous routes. And but the most significant vocational identity you've had in your life probably was serving as my counselor in the summer of 1985. Wouldn't that be true?
The highlight. That's been the highlight. Yeah.
And one of the gifts of camping ministry, without a doubt, is the number of young people that get to serve as staff people who find an identity around Christian public leadership, we say. And so many of Darren's colleagues and eventually my colleagues at Christikon have gone on to serve the church in a variety of ways. It's not insignificant that something like, I think, over 80, 90 of us in our experience from Christikon have gone on to serve the church in ordained ministry and rostered ministry as pastors. Darren, what do you do now?
I'm a pastor. Yeah.
Right. And you serve where?
Atonement Lutheran Church here in Billings, Montana. I've been here for almost 6 years now. Prior to that, served a congregation in Minnesota for 8 years, and then 2 different congregations here in Montana for about 9 years.
And one just question that's sort of on our minds this day, and as we work through this series called Hopeful, we're thinking about camps and camping ministry in particular, and wondering what your thought is about why camping ministry is so important to the church and to communities of faith like the communities that you and I serve.
I remember Bob Quam would have the promotional video that starts out with, "It's an old story. It's a new story." It's an old story for people of faith to get away. Jesus would take his disciples up on a mountainside where they would gather to rest and renew and to pray and to study and to be in community with each other and energize for that time that they re-enter the communities in which they lived and served. And I found Christikon to be a very meaningful, restful place for people to come together to do exactly that. The Greek word for going up a mountain is anabino. And I think of that drive every time I go up to Christikon, that I am anabinoing with Jesus, traveling up the road to find rest and renewal and community. As well as a place to honestly explore some questions of faith, where we can allow ourselves to be vulnerable, to get away from our technology and our devices and our rhythms and schedules of our chaotic world down here, and find a new rhythm and a new pattern that starts out with, yes, the bell ringing and waking us up, but meals together and conversation around those plates and that food, Bible studies, worship, play, fellowship, and again, ending the day with worship, just abiding in God's word in that place. And I think it's saturating you with that grace of God, from the people to the space to all the gifts that come every day.
Thank you for that. It is remarkable how much these experiences that we share in common, and the ministry of Christikon in particular, how much that has shaped our lives and continues to shape it to this day. And it's a joy to be able to share that with others and to invite others into that journey as well. And so I'm grateful for your longtime friendship and trust that that God will continue to work in Billings, Montana at Atonement Lutheran Church without a doubt through your ministry there. We're grateful. In the devotion that I wrote for our community for today, actually the day that we're recording this, I reference and have a picture of the bell that you just talked about at Christikon. That bell orders the life there from day to day, but it doesn't mark time in the same way that bells, church bells do. It doesn't ring out the hours, but it announces the call to gather or the movement from one particular thing of significance to another thing of significance, another moment of significance. And so that bell tower that I remember from when I was your camper, Darren, got older and ricketier and almost a little bit dangerous. The bell is heavy and the wood that was supporting it was growing weak. So a couple years ago, Darren took it upon himself to build a brand new bell tower to house that bell. And I had the privilege of being there at the time that the community gathered to commission that new tower. And that photograph of that day is in this devotion today that we've shared with our community. And so you've put your mark in many ways on that camp, but that's certainly going to be an enduring mark as well. And so